Welcome to the Handy Guys, and we've been talking about free over-the-air TV.
Sure.
We've been talking about a Tableau DVR we presented on our last show, but now we want to talk a little bit more specifically about antennas.
Right. You've got something up in your attic, right, Paul?
Right. I contend that to get the best reception, you need to go as big as possible. So let's head up to my attic, and I'll show you what I have.
Great.
So here I am up in the attic, and this is what, in my opinion, is the best way to go, a large antenna. And I use antennaweb.org to size my antenna for my location. I mounted it in the rafters. Now, ideally, the antenna is outside on the roof, but most people don't want a big, ugly antenna like this on the roof. So you can try to mount it in your attic. And this is an antenna right out of the 1970s. This is what my parents' generation used on the roof, but I have it mounted with a mast right to the rafter. And the key here is using a site like antennaweb.org to figure out where your local towers are to get your HD signal. And you want to aim it, because this is a directional antenna. You want it aimed towards the towers. And you need to use your compass app or whatever to figure out the best direction to aim it. But in my case, most of the stations are aimed this direction. So I have it pointed to those stations. Some stations are different directions, but the best ones it's pointing at. I have it mounted to the rafters. It's a little bit ugly. It's a little bit dangerous. It's got some sharp edges, but this is it. This is the way to go. I can pull in my HD signals very well. And I have it connected, of course, to a coax cable that goes all the way down into the basement. In my case, I could use coax that was already located or run into the attic from the basement. It was set up for cable TV, not for this application, but I just redeployed it for an antenna, so it was very simple.
All right, Paul, that's great. And I have one up in my attic as well. But what about something like this? This is the Leaf, and I've read reviews on these things, and they're great. And my daughter has one at her apartment in Florida. Now, she's near Orlando, and she gets all the channels you'd ever want.
Right.
With something like this.
So we need to test this, because generally you can go to a website like antennaweb.org, and they will tell you what size antenna you need based on the distance from the closest towers.
This guy says right here, 30-mile range.
Yeah,
right?
but a lot of these say you can see them at your big box stores, you can see them at your wherever, and you'll see, oh yeah, you can get free over-the-air TV,
all
and
right.
they sell you something like this. I am not convinced
all right.
that this
so
is
you're
going to pick up.
within 30 miles of the main antennas in the Philadelphia marketplace, right?
Here's the problem.
Now you're in your basement.
Right.
Our studio is in your basement.
Right.
But we're going to hook this up and see if the kids start screaming upstairs about not being able to watch
Well,
TV
here's
anymore.
the problem with something like this. These are omnidirectional. They're not directional. They,
Okay.
I mean, come
They're
on, Brian. This is a
multi-directional.
piece of paper.
We're going to find out.
All right.
So we're going to stick it up there in your window, your basement window, up high as we can get it, and see if we get any channels at all.
Are we doing that on this episode?
I think we are. Why not?
All right, so let's try it.
All right.
Okay, Brian, so we hooked up the Leaf and we just flipped through the channels. We did a channel scan.
Right.
And I am kind of picky. I know what channels I expect to pick up. And I got to say, I'm duly impressed with this piece of paper. It does work.
We're in the basement, though. I think it could
Right.
work a little better if you're up in your living room, not in a basement. But it's great. It wasn't that expensive. I think they're about $40. And on their website, gomohu.com, which we'll have a link to, you can actually put your address in, and they'll recommend which one of their products is good for you.
Right. Now, if you have one of these devices, you need to understand we're in a particular area, so we have some channels that are really hard to bring in because they're VHF, not UHF.
Right.
This did not work for a couple channels, but we're, again, in an area that has those channels. Most areas are all UHF.
Right,
and
right.
you need to try this. It's worth a shot. I was impressed at how well it brought in
and
channels.
Hey, it's made in the USA as well. So
all right.
There you go.
So there you have it. There's some couple ideas from one extreme to another. Huge antenna to what seems like a piece of paper.
Right, there you go, up there.
Just put up on your wall and you're good to go.
All right.
Thanks for watching the Handy Guys.
Thanks.